Welcome to another deep dive video from Beefeater Fella. In today's video, we look at Ukraine joining the International Criminal Court, also called the ICC. We explain what this means, and we will also cover some of the processes and history of Ukraine joining the ICC. Remember, if you enjoy this video, please like the video and leave a comment. I appreciate all engagement and I endeavor to reply to all comments when I can. Deputy Minister of Justice Iryna Mudra submitted Ukraine's ratification instrument for the Rome Statute to the UN Secretariat on Friday, marking the country's full participation in the International Criminal Court. The ratification handover ceremony took place at the UN headquarters. The ratification instrument was handed over for safekeeping to the UN Secretariat, which serves as the depositary for international treaties. With President Volodymyr Zelensky's signing of a new law to ratify the Rome Statute, the treaty that established the International Criminal Court, Ukraine has taken a key step towards becoming a state party of the ICC. According to the Deputy Minister, Ukraine will begin participating in the work of this key international justice body at the start of the year, gaining the ability to influence the prioritization of our issues within the ICC. Mudra noted that to date, the ICC has issued 6 arrest warrants for Russian criminals, including Russian leader Vladimir Putin and military officials such as Sergei Shoigu, Valery Gerasimov, and other generals. Currently, the ICC has jurisdiction over the situation in Ukraine through 2 declarations made in 2014 and 2015. The ICC has already issued a number of arrest warrants in the Ukraine situation, including for President Vladimir Putin of Russia. Ukraine is also conducting numerous war crimes trials domestically. Our involvement in the ICC will expedite the review of current cases and the initiation of new ones, thus enabling justice for all Russian perpetrators, she added. Ratification of this document is a requirement for Ukraine's further European integration. Ukraine originally signed the treaty on January 20, 2000. Following ratification of the Rome Statute, Ukraine becomes a member of the International Criminal Court, making crimes committed by its citizens or on its territory subject to prosecution by the Hague-based court. Chartered by Congress, the Wilson Center provides nonpartisan counsel and insights on global affairs to policymakers through deep research, impartial analysis, and independent scholarship. Almost a quarter of a century has passed since Ukraine signed the Rome Statute. But the ratification took place just a few weeks ago. Such a long interval raises questions, especially since Russian aggression against Ukraine has been going on for more than 10 years. Why did Ukraine wait so long to ratify the International Criminal Court ICC Code? Why did it ratify it now? What will be the consequences of this political step? The answer to the first question is directly related to the peculiarities of the Ukrainian political system. It's built so that any major political player can block any decision. Such players include, for example, oligarchic groups and groups influencing the presidents of Ukraine. Very often decisions are blocked simply because some political players neither understand what is being discussed nor try to figure it out. Such blocking by incompetence is carried out preventively, with the thinking, what if this decision threatens us in some way? This is why any reform in Ukraine is an extremely difficult undertaking. There is always some influential political player who does not understand why the reform is necessary. The Rome Statute was hard to understand for the Ukrainian political elite. Former President Leonid Kuchma first signed it in 2000 and a year later appealed to the Constitutional Court on the inconsistency of this international treaty with the Constitution of Ukraine. The grounds for recognizing the unconstitutionality of the Rome Statute were very shaky, but the appeal worked and blocked ratification for a long time. After the annexation of Crimea and the outbreak of war in eastern Ukraine in 2014, ratifying the Rome Statute seemed to become more relevant. The Russian army and its proxies have been committing war crimes and crimes against humanity since the first days of the war. But even under such conditions, the Ukrainian government did not dare to ratify. Ukraine took a different path and applied to the ICC with a statement recognizing the jurisdiction of this court. This gave the ICC the opportunity to investigate crimes committed on the territory of Ukraine, but this was not ratification and did not lead to Ukraine's full membership in the ICC. Ukrainian politicians said that ratification threatened its military. They cited as an example the statements that Russia filed with the ICC against the Georgian military following the invasion of Georgia in 2008. The main idea of the Ukrainian government in public comments regarding the Rome Statute was to postpone ratification until the end of the war. One had the impression that Ukrainian opponents of ratification had not read the Rome Statute. It provides for punishment for large-scale, systematic, deliberate actions. Privates and sergeants are not tried under the Rome Statute. Those who formulate and implement criminal state policy are tried. Moreover, the ICC does not interfere in the affairs of a state if it investigates war crimes and punishes its own criminals. Ukraine did not pursue a criminal state policy and investigated the crimes of its military. ICC investigations confirm the absence of large-scale, systematic and deliberate war crimes on the part of Ukraine. After the start of the war, the ICC issued arrest warrants for 6 Russians and did not demand the arrest of a single Ukrainian. But the Ukrainian elite was still afraid of ratification, even though following Russia's invasion of Georgia, the ICC demanded that only Russian proxies from South Ossetia be held accountable. Ultimately, the Georgian bogeyman that was used to scare the Ukrainian military did not work. 3 objective reasons and the human factor finally helped ratify the Rome Statute. The first reason ratification is a mandatory condition for Ukraine's European integration. Article 8 of the Association Agreement between the European Union and Ukraine provides for the ratification of the Rome Statute. Integration into Europe is not just a goal of Ukraine enshrined in its constitution, and it is not just a dream for which Ukrainians went to the barricades in 2013 to 2014 to defend their European choice. European integration for the country that finds itself in a bloody, destructive war with Russia is a strategy for survival. Many positive changes occur only under the influence of European integration. The second reason is the new opportunities that ratification will give Ukraine. The ICC is already operating in its territory, but Ukraine does not participate in its activities. For example, it cannot propose a Ukrainian judge or prosecutor as a candidate for the ICC. There is also a financial aspect, although that is not the most important consideration. After ratification, Ukrainians received simplified access to the court's target monetary fund. This fund is intended to pay compensation to victims of war crimes. The third reason is the presidential majority in Parliament. The government faction is not monolithic. However, in special cases, when it is necessary to make the most important decisions, it can be consolidated. And the President made the decision to ratify. Much work is needed still to implement the norms of the Rome Statute into Ukrainian legislation. The Criminal Code of Ukraine does not contain all the necessary elements about war crimes and crimes against humanity. Because the country had not fought since gaining independence, there was no need to lay out how war-related crimes would be treated. For example, the Criminal Code does not describe liability for crimes that constitute a violation of customary, rather than treaty, international humanitarian law. This significantly narrows the list of crimes that can be tried in wartime. Human rights activists rightly criticize the law that ratified the Rome Statute for its incompleteness. This law does not actually address issues around changing Ukrainian legislation, which are inevitable after ratification. Ukrainian civil society will once again have to prove to the authorities the importance of implementing international law in their country's legislation. The history of the ratification of the Rome Statute has confirmed that it is civil society, not the government, that is the main guarantee of the survival and development of Ukraine. That's all for now, folks. I hope you have found this explainer informative. Please see the link to my Twitter thread in the comments section, which contains the sources and references links for material in this video to speed up your own research. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. And stay tuned to the channel for daily Russian Telegram chat translations and other in-depth research and information videos covering Ukraine, geopolitics, economics, and much more. This will also be published on the Information Warfare Initiative channel, a platform created and owned by Jonathan Fink of the Awesome Silicon Network channel. Slava Ukraini. That's all for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I also leave comments open for feedback, which I really appreciate. You can view my original posts in much more detail on Twitter. Follow me at beefeater_fella. My research threads also include full references and sources to speed up your own research. Did you know that I also provide daily updates and deep dive research videos on a range of interesting subjects, including economics, geopolitics, sanctions, circumventions, fossil fuel updates, and much more? If you are able to support me with a coffee or subscription on Patreon, I do provide links in the description of the video. I really appreciate all the support I can get towards my research, equipment, and publication costs. Thank you. To those who have supported me on Patreon or Buy Me Coffee, you are simply awesome. Your regular support is really appreciated. Remember, folks, the YouTube edition of my Russian Telegram chat translations is released every night at midnight, UK time. Have a great day. I look forward to your next visit.